Hey guys, it's Jet 888 here. It is 7/20/2022. Just real quick, 7/20 in gematria, and this isn't all going to be about gematria at all, but 7/20. So just a few things before I really get started here. Some strange things regarding 7/20. 7/20 is 5 in Jewish gematria, and it's also the all-seeing eye. And when I look at the anagram for the all-seeing eye, the anagram being that you take all the same letters but just rearrange them, I is lethal gene, is the same as the all-seeing eye. So that's our day-to-day, but also here's 5 is also when you reduce all its numbers that 5 equals, it's 996. So you can flip those all around and make it 666. I just think that's kind of weird. And one more thing. So the Roman numeral for 5 is V, and V equals 22, and 22 equals mega. And going a little further there, V in Jewish gematria is 700, and in simple gematria it's 22. V in 700 is trump train, and in simple gematria it's mega. V is also ojo, which means I in Spanish. So we just come back up to today's date, which just 7/20, the all-seeing eye, which is in the anagram. It's I is lethal gene. And as most of us know, the word lethal is causing or capable of causing death, fatal, extremely harmful, devastating, deadly, mortal, fatal. So that's kind of what I'm going to look at today. So I was just having a conversation with a friend, and we were talking about that Kofifi word. Remember that? So here's Trump on the White House letterhead writing, Cobalt build is like the best build, like, ever. Kind of like a Valley Girl, like for sure, like forever. So I looked a little bit deeper into this. I looked at the anagram for Cobalt build is like the best build like ever. Now at this point, if you're on UOBayTube or ScrewTube, you might have to stop and go look at the rest of this. Will be at Rumble at Jet888 at my Rumble account over there, Jet888. If I decide to cut this in half so I don't get deleted from ScrewTube. But just looking at the word cobalt, if you want to look at gematria again, cobalt, same numerology as the C word. And look down below, number 53, it's also rain, like the king that reigns, king reign. And also when I took that word ever living from the Bible, which I'll go over a little bit later, and please don't get me wrong, I believe that there's a God, but I think that the Bible's been twisted and manipulated by the powers that be. So I looked at the word ever living and taken the anagram, it's evil reign V, as in 5, as in MAGA, as in 22. So those two, cobalt and the C word there, are numerically equivalent to 53, as is, if you look at the very right, the simple gematria is 53 of Coca-Cola, sheep, and divide. I think we've all know that we've been divided lately. So coming back up to this little saying of cobalt, you know what you can exchange that word for? Cobalt equals the C word. I mean, wouldn't that read weird? Weirdly there? And why would he write that? Cobalt build is like the best build, like forever, or ever. So when I looked at the anagram for that whole phrase, this is what I came up with. Build back better, be like holiest evil US die. And just taking that first line, cobalt build, is like, the anagram for that was biblical, like US dot. And when I looked at US or dot, it's either Department of Transportation And isn't that interesting? Because the department began operation on April 1st. Like April Fools. There's their logo. So another thing that my friend and I were discussing regarding this, she was saying that that this word was supposed to be some kind of cure for that word, which isn't that word, but the other word, the other C word, that bottom word. So she was saying she saw some information where this combination could cure that, if you believe in that. So I went and looked a little bit deeper, and actually that's when I found this picture. So when I looked at all these on my gematria, cobalt, iron, vanadium, what they ended up being, and I put it in I did put it in their database. Anyhow, it ended up being that invasion of Ukraine and that September 11th, which was the simple gematria. I just thought that was sort of weird. And then looking a little bit closer at this and that word dot, when I was looking at that first line anagram, biblical like US dot, and on that day, because I started this on July 17th, it says US dollar 1 equals 0.138 polka dot. Today it's this. 1 polka dot equals $7.9. So when I looked at this today, here it is, 7.9 polka dot to US dollar, and look at this graph. So if you can't see super quickly, I'll show you how, see how it maxed up here? This was whatever intraday, this graph I'm showing. So here, 2021, look at that on 11/9, which is 9/11. Look how it fell. And here's where we are today. I just found that correlation a little interesting. It's just curious stuff, interesting to me, how things sort of tie together. But now going back to this word here, the phrase cobalt built, because the other C word, which again kind of equals that, they're both 53 simple gematria. When I look at this word, which is the first part of what Drumpf wrote, cobalt build, there's the numerology. It says 411, then look down, 606, take out the zeros, and 101, so 66 or 111, which usually 11 is like chaos. So that wasn't in their database, it is now, and look what it equals, the great MAGA king. Also dark matter and Marcus, which is like mark us. And you know how he was so into the Operation Warp Speed, which is all about pushing those, pointy things. You know, those pointy things right there, the things wrapped around that there needle. Now, this might be photoshopped. Who knows? I guess it could be, or it probably is, but boy, I thought that was really interesting looking. I mean, there were quite a few articles regarding his pink ties and how long they were. I mean, look what long pink tie equals. 350. Storm. Remember when he talked about the storm? And I am the alphabet. That's their 350, which is long pink tie. And Starlink there, 666 and 111. And also I just thought the thing weird about Starlink is you always see the just sort of symbolic visuals of a star, which the sun is like the biggest star that we know of, at least that I know of. And doesn't it seem so many things depict the sun or sun rays? It's just strange to me. They're kind of all in it together. That's where it's Storm and Starlink. Well, Starlink has the 666, 111, and dark matter down below there, above or below the great MAGA king. Both have 411, but dark matter also has 666, 111. So regarding this, the conversation my friend and I were having, and how she stated that she had seen where all those are kind of the assistant to helping get rid of all the 5G side effects. The 5G side effects. I also looked into the word iron, and iron is also equivalent to BlackRock, RFID chip, light, ISIS, which I think I can explain this later if I can find it. Bible God, and the end, as in Omega. And the third element, vanadium, the simple gematria is 85, and so is storm and the devil. So one of the most interesting things I found about this picture that I found on archive.org was when I looked down here, Trump is pointing to his signature, his autograph. So when I look at that, that doesn't say Donald Trump. Look at the T, the second tall profile. That's not a T. And if you look at the very last top and bottom profile, you wouldn't have that high of a top profile in the letter P if it was the word Trump, which I think a lot of us also know what's coming here. So when I looked at this signature, look, I looked here. When you look at the word Donald Trump, and I just put it in script, you would see the very last P. You would only have a low profile. You'd have that the low hanging P. That's not what we have there. You have something really high. It makes more sense if that signature says Donald Drumpf. Donald Drumpf, which is his old family name. I think most people know that. When I look at the letters or the gematria for Donald Drumpf in Jewish and English, it's 501-780, but when you reduce both those numbers, it's 66. Also, when I look at Donald Trump in Jewish gematria, the 501, artificial intelligence is also 501. Here are a couple more things that equal 501. And isn't that kind of strange if you think about it? Look at the AZ, that's alpha and omega beginning to end. Remember that 501? Remember that 501? The Levi Strauss. Interesting. Remember those blue jeans? So 501 blue jeans, as in, maybe we can look at it as GENES, jeans. And Levi Strauss, guess what? Levi can be evil, EVIL. Strauss in Jewish gematria is 651, which is also Aquarius, which is where we are right now, the age of Aquarius, which also happens to be Starbucks coffee. And remember, we're at 7:20 today. Today is 7:20. There's equivalent to 6:51, which is also blood money. That's weird. Blood money is also human robots. Strauss simple gematria is 117, which is sun rays. Remember those. It's also the mega plan, which means the end plan, which when you look at Trump's little message to us, can also be in line with the Build Back Better, Be Like, Holiest Evil, US Die. Remember that one? 501 is Donald Trump. Artificial intelligence is going to be helping bring in that US die, probably the world die. There's that 117 again, and that goes to market crash. Is it any surprise that Levi Strauss's company began in San Francisco? Oh, look, he changes his name around too. Loeb Straub. Straub was his name as he was born in Germany. And he died September 26, San Francisco, California. Here's just a few anagrams that I got from that. U.S. evil SARS. Is that SARS? You know, the evil SARS. Guess we can pronounce that czars too, right? Czars is or SARS, czars. Sorry, I think I lost my place, but some of this just reminds me, the evil czars here, reminds me of Operation Warp Speed, which is one of Trump's babies. And looking at that anagram, one of them, weaponed Zorro Piper and respirated weapon op. So those are two or more possibilities. Look at that weaponed Zorro. Look at that Zorro. Look at this site. It's bridging all your security needs. You know, when I look at the word bridging, what do you think of when you think of San Francisco? I think of the Golden Gate Bridge when I think of San Francisco. Look at those V's also. And the Golden Gate, when you look at the anagram, it's at Gold Gene. At Gold Gene. I know I'm skipping all over the place right now, but the respirated weapon op is Operation Warp Speed. Do you think those guys are all capable of that? And don't you think it would be weird that he isn't in the Gematria database? Look at that. He's not in the database. He's not in our Gematria database. Why is it? Are they trying to hide something? I just find that sort of weird that he's not in. Let's go look why. You can add him with me. We're going to click him right here. There we go. Let's see what this has to show us. Open your eyes. End of the world. Open your eyes. Abnormal Psychology Mega Millions winner. Biblical The Great Awakening. Fasten your seatbelts. You got that right. And of course, you've got to have that if you've got Trump in there. Let's go look at the English and the simple gematria. 990165. Look what else equals 990 and 165. Gates salvation. Wow, that's not entered into the database either. Let's go enter it. Oh, there we go. Well, someone entered that, but it could be Gates salvation. Here, just the same as the Levi Strauss. Anyhow, let's go look at some other things. Oh, it's also serpent signs. Gate salvation and Levi Strauss serpent signs. You know what I found strange is they go from this. That's the staff of Asclepius. And look at how that guy's like on a little needle. And look at how they sort of, I just noticed this, and maybe you guys have seen this before. Some symbols with this, and I love how the UN kind of incorporates that. But also, this is what I've noticed. The snake going up like a little goblet thing, like they're going to poison people. It's being used as a medical symbol. I mean, watch how it metamorphosizes. Isn't that creepy? Now, why would medicine have that? And they always tell people who are trying to use natural remedies that they're snake oil salesmen, but yet they use the snake as a medical symbol. This says Medical International Symbol Set, Star of Life. Star of Life. And then they incorporate that with the staff of Asclepius. And then they have the Caduceus, that's with 2. And then the bull with the snake, which is new to me. Okay, just a few more things. I'll be wrapping this up. So when I look at this again, Cobalt build is like, which could be biblical like US dot, which dot either being the cryptocurrency or Department of Transportation, and we're seeing such a huge lack of commerce being stuck with the whole trucking thing, gasoline, whatever, all those things put together. And the best build, if you want to just look at that by itself, the best build equals the Bible dust. There's other things. Oh wait, speaking of dot too, if I go back to Golden Gate, which is the reason I'm going back because the San Francisco was where Levi Strauss started his blue jeans business. Could be Jean dot gal or lag. What's that? Jean dot lag? That's, anyhow, that's just a thought. Okay, I'm jumping. We're going to go back to the Golden Gate Bridge here. It's a suspension bridge across the Golden Gate. This is in San Francisco, 4,200 feet. So what I thought was kind of weird, I just looked at this. Here's the suspension bridge. And looking at the anagram for Golden Gate Bridge, it's globated gene grid. And what are they doing to everyone in this world with their genes? Spelled different, but still. But you know what? If you look at that word gene and you spell it correctly, like gene, like what we're made of, the Genesis is C sign. Remember I've showed this before, and is genes. And this will be my last point. But Golden Gate Bridge, the anagram is also bagel dot, gene grid. So this talks about the bagel. So it's popular in the, it says originating in the Jewish communities of Poland. It is traditionally shaped by hand into the form of a ring from yeasted wheat dough. Remember we showed this, and remember those are wheat, the little wheat wings on the side of that. And the yeast, this talks quickly about yeast. Yeast is really important actually, but it says they are estimated to constitute 1% of all described fungal species. And I just found it funny because it converts its food, sugar, and starch through fermentation into carbon dioxide and alcohol. What do they give? They blame us for breathing and making carbon dioxide, and they feed you alcohol. So I just thought it was kind of interesting and funny because they're the 1%. But this even talks about all about yeast king, sweet fungi of beer. But maybe that just explains why the UN always has to have those wheat. We see that symbol all the time, the wheat on the outside of the little donut. And the bagel was referred to as a toroidal bread roll. Toroidal. And just quickly looking at the Wikipedia, the toroidal, and I'm going to jump over here. It talks about the toroidal grid network. It says of or relating to or shaped like a toroid, donut shape. So here's your kind of wheel within a wheel. And this sort of made me think of this, which is the Rupus nigra, which means black rock. It's a big magnet in the middle of the North Pole. Some people say they say it's a phantom island. Oh, look at Wikipedia. The Rupus nigra, black rock, a phantom island, which it's not, but was believed to be a 33. How often do we see the number 33 mile wide black rock? And the 33 Mercator actually describes the rock's circumference as 33 French miles, located at the magnetic pole. The magnetic North Pole, I should say, or the North Pole itself. And because it's so magnetic, that's why it says it's purportedly explained why all compasses point to this location. But back to the start of our date. So isn't that kind of weird? So 720 is 5, which is also V, but 720 is also the all-seeing eye, which is also I is lethal gene. Most know what lethal is, causing or capable of causing death, extremely harmful, devastating. We see the numbers which can be flipped to 999 or 666. It goes down to MAGA, Trump train, MAGA, and looking at Donald Drumpf, who equals 501, and both of his gematria, the Jewish and English, when you reduce them, they're 6, 6. And also 501 is artificial intelligence. And so I went back to look at the 501 blue jeans, which, looking at Levi Strauss, who's in San Francisco, is a bunch of US evil czars or evil US stars or evil US evil rats. I also looked at the Golden Gates anagrams, and it's Gene Dot Lager Gal or Globated Gene Grid or Bagel Dot Gene Grid. We all know about the bagel. It's a toroidal bread roll, and looking at the word toroidal, the toroidal grid network, it sort of looks like this, which reminded me of the Rupus nigra. Rupus nigra, surrounded by 4 large islands. But that Rupus nigra, sorry, my phone cut off. BlackRock, we all know who BlackRock is, right? And the anagram for Rupus nigra is super grain. And we all know who they are, right? We know who the super grains are. So I just found that kind of funny. Look, it's also that, a super ring. So here's just a few of those anagrams from Rupus nigra: super grain, and a super ring, and UN repairs G. Like maybe there's the super ring too. Um, like they think they can act like God, changing DNA, owning everything. I don't know. I just think that's weird. And the whole thing about the bagel too, how the Golden Gate Bridge means a bagel dot gene grid. The bagel, they said, originating in Poland by the Jewish community, but when you look at the word Poland, it's pole, could be like pole land, like the North Pole, Poland.